Welcome to another episode of the Benchwarmers. I'm Matt, here with my co-host Ryan.
Welcome back, everyone. This is our 37th episode. It's a special edition episode where we're just talking about the NBA. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. Also follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06. Stay tuned for later in this week where we will have our NFL and NCAA talks as we usually do, along with our DJing corner and the hot topics coming back for that episode 38. The Benchwarmers.
All right, Ryan, you know us. We love basketball, so I'm excited. This is basically like Christmas all over again. I'm ready for the NBA season to start, especially the fact that the Eagles lost again. And I'm just ready for the season to start. And especially as a Sixers fan, I have high hopes for this year. I can't wait. So without further ado, Ryan and I are going to make our predictions for this year's NBA season. So we'll start off with the Eastern Conference. So we'll start off with the Atlantic Division. Ryan, who do you have winning the Atlantic Division this year?
You're going to call me a homer pick. It's all about my Philadelphia 76ers coming together this year. I got Brett Brown bringing a team together. I got Joel Embiid and Simmons, coming together as a team, along with looking like Fultz has a shot now that this team is going to be a big contender in the Atlantic. Their competition is going to be obviously Toronto still is a solid team with Kawhi Leonard joining that lineup. But I still think that team's not going to be as good as it may have been. I also think that, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to get cohesive where the Sixers are already cohesive. And the same with the Boston Celtics here. You had two stars who didn't play all season last year, and basically the bench guys started, and now they got to go back to being bench players while these guys come back into it. I think it's going to take them a little bit longer to mesh together. As the season progresses, they definitely will be a team to reckon with, but I think the Sixers can turn out, definitely get another 50-plus wins season here, and definitely a top 2-3 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, honestly, as a Sixers fan, I hope you're right. I hope they do win the division, but I think realistically, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think the Atlantic Division is one of the toughest divisions in the NBA. Like Ryan said, the Sixers, Raptors, and Celtics, but all three of those teams I expect to be in the playoffs, and I expect all of them to be relatively dangerous also. With the addition of Kawhi Leonard on Toronto, they're going to be good because Kawhi's going to try to prove everything. The fact that he left the Spurs, so he's going to be like, hey, the Spurs, they made me who I am, but I'm not good just solely because of that. So he's going to prove himself and get that big contract. And my pick for the Atlantic Division is the Celtics. I think they're too loaded. They're too loaded of a team. Like Ryan said, they were down Kyrie and Gordon Hayward last year, and they still went to the Eastern Finals. They took LeBron to Game 7. I just can't see this team, not play well. They have too much talent all over the board. Their bench is nasty. Like, their bench is probably a top 5 team in the East. That's how good they are. And with Brad Stevens as their coach, I just can't see this team falling much at all. So I expect this team to win the division relatively easily because, the Sixers, I expect them to win 50-plus, no problem. Raptors, 50-plus, probably. Celtics, I expect 60-plus. I think it's going to be 60-plus just because of the fact they play in the East. And
that's a high number there.
You say it's a high number, but they won 55 last year with both of those guys dead. So 55 last year with 2 guys dead, I feel like 60-plus ain't not that far. So that's why I think the Celtics are going to win this division.
You make some fair observations. Like I said, I don't disagree. The Celtics are going to be a good team. I just think it's going to take them a little bit longer to mesh together. I definitely agree with you that bench is definitely top 5, probably top 3 with any team in the East.
I say top 1. Top 1. They're the best bench. That bench literally took them to the Eastern Conference.
True. But say that bench on any team as a starting lineup, that'd definitely be a top 3 team in the East. They were a top 3 team in the East with that bench. So anywhere you put them, the top 3 team. I just think, I think it's going to take them a lot longer to figure things out because now they have to go back to
But
different
see,
roles again and not play as much.
The reason why I don't think it will be an issue is because none of those guys have big egos. Like, you don't see Tatum or Hayward or Jaylen Brown. None of those guys have big egos. They're not the type of.
I'm not saying Tatum. Brown, I think may have some problems. That's all. I think Brown may have some issues.
I don't see it. I just don't think it because they're not people who act wild. Like, you don't see that out of them. Even on social media, they act like they play basketball. That's what they do. They'll do whatever it takes for the team. And because Brad Stevens is their coach, he handles them pretty well. So he knows the fact that as long as they get playing time, I think they'll be happy. Which I think he's going to equally divide that up into the fact that he'll make them competitive. And as long as they win games, at the end of the day, as long as they win games, I don't see an issue. Obviously, if they start losing, it's a different question. But I don't see that happening. So I don't see any issues arising.
No, that's true. Brad Stevens is a fantastic coach. So I definitely don't disagree with you there. I guess I'm just kind of hoping that they do fall apart because I want to see the Sixers. But hey, is what it is.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, as a Sixers fan, both of us hope that they do well and hope they win the division. But we got to hope for injuries not to occur because we know one injury to Embiid or Simmons, we're kind of screwed. Whereas the Celtics, if they take an injury, it's not really a big deal because they have people to fill in. So that's kind of where it comes down to.
Yeah, fair point.
So moving on to the next division, we got the Central. I have the Milwaukee Bucks winning this division, mostly because the Greek Freak. One could argue he's the best player of the Eastern Conference now, so I think he himself could lead that team to the Eastern title if he wanted to. He's that good of a player. Now that LeBron James is gone, he is that monster guy in the East, and his team. It's not too bad. I mean, they were a relatively solid team last year. They did lose to the Celtics in the first round. They took them to Game 7. But, Greek Freak was basically that whole team. And now that they have a new coach, I expect them to do a little bit better. I expect them to be a more solid team. But, Ryan, who do you have winning this division?
Well, shockingly, I'm actually going to agree with you here. I think the Greek Freak is going to... I know, right? It's crazy. It happens sometimes, but this is definitely one where I wholeheartedly agree with you here. I love the Greek Freak and the way he plays, and he is undoubtedly one of the best players in the East. Coming into the season, I'm saying he is the best player because I'm not saying we didn't get to see Kyrie as much last year. You can see Hayward, so putting them out. You have Embiid and Simmons in there who are definitely solid, but the Greek Freak is this team basically, and he can lead this team to, I think, 50-plus wins, which is why I think you're going to see this team in there. There really is no other team in the Central Division as well, so that's another thing for them. So they have an easy Central to just basically wipe everyone out on that side. I think they'll take this one easily. This is definitely going to be, you're going to see this team fighting along with the Celtics, the Sixers, and Toronto this year, I think, with top 50 wins and one of the top 4 seeds in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Ryan here. This division is relatively weak. I mean, besides the Pacers, I don't think another team in this division is going to compete for that division lead. I mean, the Bulls, they're whatever. Trying to think, Ryan, do you know who else is in the division that even could be somewhat competitive? Trying to think of who else. Cleveland. Cleveland's I mean, they might make the playoffs as like an 8 seed, but I don't see them being somewhat any type of a division competitor. So
you don't think Kevin Love can take that team and win the division with them?
Oh yeah, like he did with the Timberwolves? Yeah. No.
Yeah, I have no respect for them either. Trying to think about Detroit. I mean, they got Blake Griffin.
Yeah, no. All right. So yeah. So we're going to go with the Bucks here pretty clearly. We're going to go with the Bucks. I mean, the only team I could see possibly shaking this up is the Pacers, but I mean, both Ryan and I both think the Bucks are the clear-cut team here in the Central. All right, let's move on to the Southeast Division. Ryan, who do you have in this one?
Well, this is another poor division, but the team I'm taking here, I talked a lot of trash about, and I'm still picking them. So I'm talking about the Miami Heat. You have, they were a solid team last year. They squeaked into the playoffs. They gave the Sixers, a little bit of a tough time.
Did they?
But all
Did they give them a tough time? Pretty sure we won in 5.
We should have swept them, so they gave them a tough time. No, one player gave them a tough time, and he's coming back to play with them this year, along with, their all-star. You know who I'm talking about here. The guy who I think still doesn't deserve to be an all-star, and Dragic. But they have Haslam, they have Wayne Ellington, who definitely solid. They still have a decent lineup. Where that, especially in this division, I don't think there's really many teams that can compete, except for the Washington Wizards, who is another team who I think is really solid there. But barring any injuries, that could hinder them a little bit. I just don't see really any other team but them really giving Miami a tough time with this division win.
So yeah, Miami. It's Dwayne Wade's final year, so for his sake, I hope he does decently well. But yeah, he did well against the Sixers last year in the playoffs, but I don't see much out of him. He's an all-time great Hall of Famer. Nothing but respect for him. 3-time champion. He's one of my favorite players. But at the end of the day, his team isn't that good. Like Ryan mentioned, they had Dragic, so-called all-star. You got Hassan Whiteside, you got Justice Winslow, Wayne Ellington. These guys don't scare me. Not at all. So, I don't think they're going to win the division. I have the Washington Wizards winning this division. Not to say they're not much better. They're really not. But I think they have one of the best backcourts in the league, led by John Wall and Bradley Beal. John Wall is a pure point guard. He's one of the most fastest people in the league. Bradley Beal is one of the best shooters in the league. And now they picked up Dwight Howard, who both Ryan and I have close to zero respect for. But
so that's why you're giving him the division, because of Dwight Howard, the monster down low?
No, that is not because of him. But but he does play relatively solid defense. He could play defense because, let's be serious, I'll take Dwight Howard over Marcin Gortat any day of the week. And I would call that an upgrade. Point. So, solely because of that he's an upgrade over Gortat. They still have the same team with Wall and Beal. They still have Kelly Oubre. They have Otto Porter Jr. That division's so weak, it really could be a free-for-all. So, both Ryan and I, both of us could be wrong at the end of the day, but I'm going to go with the Wizards.
I respect that pick. I like that pick a lot, too. Like I said, that's the only team I think that can compete with Miami because it's such a poor division that, we both agree with that there. I do think that, yes, we don't have much respect for Dwight Howard. I don't have respect for his offensive game as much as I do have for his defensive game. Yes, he's a really good defender when he plays the game. So I definitely think I agree that it will help Washington down low over Gortat. I just, one of those guys gets hurt, and that team is still a poor team to go against, although, the Sixers seem to still have a problem with the Wizards, even though they're pretty much garbage. I just, I think Wade's going to come out and play his final year in America with the Miami Heat and try and prove something as much as he can, and then head off to China next year. So he's got to make do with what he has and win the Southeast for his team. Yeah,
or he doesn't care and he's going to take that paycheck and call it a day.
That's true too. It could happen. More than likely will happen. But hey, still going with the Miami Heat. This is like the my baseball pick with the Marlins, man. It's probably not happening.
No, it's not. I would not compare this to the Marlins. The Marlins were a god awful pick.
All right, true, but still, this is just a terrible division where Miami still can pull it off. All right, well, with the East down, let's switch gears into the West and start off with the Northwest division. Who do you have winning this one here, Matt?
I got those Salt Lake City boys, the Utah Jazz, led by Donovan Mitchell, who believes he should win Rookie of the Year. Let's not get into that argument. But I think that team is very talented. They're very cohesive, led by Quinn Snyder as coach. I think that team is one of the best teams defensively. And offensively, is basically Donovan Mitchell. They got Rudy Gobert as a defensive anchor. I just think that team, I just like the way they play. They're very close as a team, and it's very balanced. So I think that's what they're going to win this division.
Well, Utah's a nice city. I was just there this summer. But other than that, yeah, no. I don't really see that team. They got Gobert is definitely solid. He's definitely a defensive player in his own right. And, Rookie of the Year. Wait, he didn't win Rookie of the Year. That's right. So, but my team definitely wasn't the Utah Jazz, obviously, as you can tell. I'm going with OKC and the Thunder. I think with Melo out of the picture, George and Westbrook can come together and work better as a team with the rest of the players on that team. to where they can definitely bring themselves this Northwest title and ride home easily, knocking out the Jazz and not really giving much. Like I said, Westbrook still, if I remember correctly, still did another triple-double last year, and he's definitely gearing up for another one this year. And with more room and more space to pass the ball, and with Paul George still sticking by his side, I think this team definitely has a good chance at taking this the division here.
I mean, yeah, one of the shocks of the offseason was the fact that Paul George ended up coming back to OKC. I mean, many expected that he would go to the Lakers because of the fact that he's been saying that all of last year that he was going to end up in LA. But shockingly, he stayed in OKC, which I find that interesting. Not like they.
Well, no, if you remember at the All-Star break when Westbrook stood up for him and said, he deserved that. He definitely said that made his decision to stay in OKC a lot easier.
I find that is BS.
Well, he stayed there, so it's not that much BS.
I mean, let's be serious. OKC ain't gonna win nothing.
It's all about the brotherhood, man. They're gonna at least take out the Northwest and the Utah Jazz and possibly knock off Golden State. It could happen.
I'm gonna go with the hard no there. A hard no.
Dreamers dream, all right? So let's jump over to the Pacific Division where, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, Matt, here's who I picked, and you can make fun of me. You can bash me for it. It is what it is. This is a stretch. This is a reach. This is probably as bad as my Miami pick. And I mean the Marlins, not the Heat. I'm going with the LA Lakers to knock off Golden State's reign in the Pacific Division. And solely because of LeBron James, and somehow this team's going to come together and is going to win its division. Golden State's going to somehow falter and choke, and this team's going to fall apart. Everyone gets injured. Something's happening. LA's winning this division. Simple, plain as day, all because of LeBron James. Thank you very much, and have a great podcast.
Yeah, about that. Unless Golden State dies like everybody dies, I'm talking about everybody. Every single human being on that team dies. I don't see that happening. Golden State is a clear-cut favorite. Not only in the division, they're the clear-cut favorite in the division, the conference, the NBA. There's no doubt about that. We all know that. But the fact that Ryan picked the Lakers, I'm not going to hate on it because, I get it. LeBron James is LeBron James. And, he's won, 7, 8 conferences in a row. So I get the respect you got for LeBron James. And I love LeBron James. He's my favorite player in the league. Nothing but love for him. But at the end of the day, Golden State is Golden State. I mean, there are not many teams that are as great as Golden State in NBA history. They're one of the greatest dynasties we've seen, and led by Steph, KD, Clay, and Draymond. And now they got Boogie. Boogie ain't gone back to December until February possibly. We don't even care. It's cool. Let him chill. Let him chill on the bench for 7 months. We don't even care. That's
when he comes back, he's blowing that team up because he will not be able to run with that team. Still saying he won't. I mean, he's going to screw that whole team's momentum up.
See, the funny part is that could happen, and they'll still win the division because they'll be up by 20 games. It don't even matter. That's how good this team is. But I mean, the Lakers at the end of the day, LeBron James is LeBron James. So I'm sure that team's going to be an obvious playoff team. I'm not going to deny that at all. They'll probably be a playoff team, but a division winner, I just can't see it. Just because of the fact that Golden State is so loaded that they've been winning this division for years on. So I don't see nothing changing unless somebody not even somebody. It can't be one person. It has to be multiple people get hurt. That's how good this team is. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to disagree with Ryan here. Even though I want to see LeBron do well, I see him going to the playoffs. I just can't see him win his division, and I got Golden State winning this with relative ease. They're gonna win 55 plus, and I see Lakers winning. I can see Lakers winning high 40s, low 50s, at best. That's if LeBron James plays every game full tilt. He's trying to prove a point. He's trying to win that MVP. That's what he has to prove. If he wants to do that, yeah, the Lakers have a chance to win the division. But I don't see that happening because LeBron James the last few years, he's kind of off cruise control in the regular season. So that's kind of why.
Well, because he was in the East though. Now he's in the West, man. He's got to ball out. But all day, every day.
But what does it matter? You're not going to win the division. You're not going to get the 1 seed. So why not just get that 4 seed or 5 seed and just chill out? Why kill yourself? Because you don't got to play the playoffs anyway. So that's why I don't think he's going to go full out every game. I'm sure the big games, yeah, of course. But that random March game against freaking the Timberwolves, I don't think he cares.
Well, Fair point. Fair point. So let's jump over to the Southwest, and I'm gonna go with the repeat winners here, and I'm talking about Houston. Even with the addition of Carmelo, I think this team's gonna move cohesively really well. I think that between Chris Paul and Harden, they can push the ball to Melo when need be, and push Melo to try a little bit harder. This team was really, really good last year and should have beat Golden State, I feel, in the West Championship, but it didn't happen. CP3 got hurt, but I still think they can still come together cohesively and play really well with Carmelo and get him on points where, hey, listen, this is your role here. Don't try so hard as much, and I think that it'll be a smoother transition as opposed to when he was in OKC, and I think Houston will easily win the Southwest Division.
Well, I guess we agree again then, Ryan. I'm gonna go with the.
Oh my God, twice in one podcast?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think the Rockets. I think they're a very good team led by James Harden and CP3. Like Ryan mentioned, the addition of Carmelo is relatively questionable because they lost Trevor Ariza and pretty sure they lost Luke Baumgartner too, which I feel like they're both defensive players who really helped that team down the stretch. But Carmelo is not a defensive player. He's nowhere close to a defensive player, which is why I feel like this pickup was interesting. But I think the Rockets are just, they're top heavy. They're very top heavy. If that starting unit could get a lead, they'll be okay. And honestly, I'm pretty sure me and Ryan mentioned this before. If Carmelo could come off of the bench, that'd be the best. That would be the best thing for the team because as a bench unit, he could be that guy who guns it all day, no problem. But as that starter, it ain't gonna work well because you have Harden and CP3 who are clear-cut, better offensive players. So Carmelo shouldn't be that, but we'll see how this works out at the end of the day. If Carmelo is willing to give that a bench role, then I see this team being really good. If he's not willing to do that, they'll be good, just not real good. And I don't know if you saw this, Ryan, that one play in the preseason where Carmelo had a three-pointer, he pump faked and took a long two-pointer, and he came on the bench and basically said, my bad, my bad. It's finally hilarious because that's what the Rockets are. They shoot threes. They don't shoot long twos. They shoot threes or they drive it in. But Carmelo, he loves the mid-range. And the Rockets don't do mid-range. It's not what the Rockets do. They shoot threes or they drive it in. There is no middle ground. But Carmelo is a pure middle ground player. So I really want to see how this works out. Because Carmelo, he's been in the league for what? 15 years? Is he going to really change? I don't see it happening. He doesn't play defense. He's a mid-range player. It's kind of what he is. So I really want to see how he works out on the Rockets. I think he's the polar opposite of what they need. But, I guess we'll see. But regardless, both me and Ryan picked the Rockets to win the division.
Well, just to point out, I think that him coming off the bench, they really don't have anybody to fill that spot, so I don't mind him starting in Houston. I don't disagree he should come off the bench, but I don't think they really have anybody to put in his place.
Eric Gordon.
He's gonna have. No.
What do you mean?
I like Eric Gordon, but I like him I like him as a 6-man better because he's a better shooter. He's a better all-around player, I feel. Listen, I'm a Melo fan. I was a Melo fan back when him and LeBron, came out of that draft together. I think that Eric Gordon's a better off-the-bench player because he is the shooter you still need to come in, whereas Melo, as you just pointed out, isn't that shooter. He is the mid-range guy, and he's got to learn to transition into the shooter position, whereas Eric Gordon knows his role. He can shoot the ball, and he'll be good to go. That's why I feel that it's better for him, as of right now, to try and learn how to be that player, to then maybe come off the bench to be that guy. But, I'd rather have Eric Gordon as my 6th man because he's going to do a lot better than Melo will in that position.
Yes, we'll see. All right, let's move on to MVP, the most valuable player. I have Anthony Davis winning this award this year. I think he's by far one of the best players in the league. He's the most talented player in the league, in my opinion. Of course, it's LeBron James and KD, Steph, Harden, Westbrook. I get all those guys. I get it. But Anthony Davis, he's a straight-out freak. We know this. He's putting up numbers ever since he came into the league. He took the Pelicans to the second round last year. He's doing really well last year. But this year, I think is the only year that he leaps into that, legendary status. I think he's going to easily average 30 points and over 12 rebounds, probably a couple blocks in there because he's that great of a defensive player. That's why I think Anthony Davis is going to win this MVP. Of course, there are going to be other players in the running, but I think this is the year that Anthony Davis takes that leap and wins that MVP. Finally, because he self-proclaimed himself as the best player in the league, which is, is pretty arrogant to say that due to the fact that, you have such great players in this league today, especially the fact that LeBron James is still in the league, that you would say that you're the best player in the league is surprising to me. But, hey, at the end of the day, he's Anthony Davis. He played great in college at Kentucky. Ever since he came into the league, he's been great, and that's why I won't be surprised if he finally wins his first MVP this year with the Pelicans. So that's why I got Anthony Davis to win this MVP. Ryan, who do you have winning this year's MVP?
I like AD, but he's not going to end up winning any of these divisions, so that's why I just don't know if I can see him being the MVP here. Now, I struggle with my MVP pick, between two players, one being LeBron James, we talked about earlier, because of him winning the division. But the guy I ended up going with here is none other than the Greek Freak. And I'm going with him because he's going to end up winning that division for the Bucks. He's going to get them the 50-plus wins that he needs. And, he is the entire, really, Bucks team. I mean, they have some role players there. I'm not saying they don't. But he is the heart and soul of that team as to why they're so good, as to why this team is definitely going to be a top 4 contending team for a playoff spot, and definitely to win the Central Division. They'll definitely be in the talk. It's all going to be because of the Greek Freak. Definitely getting at least averaging a double-double this year with rebounds and points, and possibly even getting close to a triple-double with some assists here and there. But I definitely think he's going to be the clear cut at the end of the day, just putting on a show and getting that MVP title and taking the Bucks as far as he can.
Yeah, I love the Greek Freak pick, honestly, Ryan, because I know I've seen his posts on social media over the offseason, and I know he got diesel, straight Jag diesel. And if he just learned how to shoot, which I hope he did during the summer, then I'm not really going to be shocked if he does win MVP. I love Anthony Davis, but I could see either Anthony Davis or Greek Freak win that MVP. If Davis won, if his team does well, and 2, Greek Freak made that jumper.
All right, so let's jump over to Rookie of the Year. So, this is definitely a tough one for me to think about, but it came down to 2 players here, the same 2 players that me and Matt talked about when the draft started, and that I'm talking about Ayton and Doncic here. They're the 2 clear cut Rookie of the Years, barring either of them get hurt. These 2 are definitely going to come in. They're NBA ready, definitely. But my pick here is Ayton. Just like I said, he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's definitely going to end up proving himself this year, I think, in Phoenix, and just definitely giving that team the down low presence they need and putting up the numbers to give himself, the opportunity to win Rookie of the Year. I don't think it'll be easy by any means. I love the way Doncic plays. I think he's going to be a great asset in Dallas, and I definitely think he's going to give Dallas what they need. And Ayton's going to have to put on a show to get this, and I think he can definitely do it. But it's definitely going to be between those 2, I think, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, Ayton's been balling in the preseason, averaging like 20 and 10 in the preseason games. So he's definitely putting up the numbers. So I can't hate on that pick. So I have Trae Young winning Rookie of the Year. Just kidding. Just kidding. He's garbage. I have Luka Doncic, of course, because I believe that he should have been number 1 pick, if you remember from our podcast, from the draft podcast. So, I think he's the most talented player in this rookie class, and I think he's going to prove it on the Mavericks this year. I think with the combination of him and Dennis Smith, I think they have one of the best young backcourts in the league. And Doncic, his ability to play make for his teammates and his offensive skills is what was going to make himself basically prove himself as Rookie of the Year. He definitely needs to improve his defensive abilities. That's one thing that Ayton has over Doncic is the defensive skills, because we know Ayton is a great defensive player. He could block shots and rebound, which is Doncic as a guard. He doesn't really defend the perimeter as well as he should, but I think his offensive skills it wouldn't matter because his offensive skills are that great. All right, let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year, Ryan. I think this is a tough one in my opinion, but who do you have winning this award?
So I definitely this is a tough one. I agree with you here, and like I said, this is definitely Sixers land for me this time around, making my picks. So you're thinking I'm going with all my homer team picks here, but and this was, like I said, it wasn't easy for me to say this, but I'm going with Joel Embiid. I think you're going to see a lot more minutes out of him. He was definitely a candidate last year. I definitely think he's going to still be a candidate. I definitely think he's going to end up winning this. You have Rudy Gobert, who's a fantastic defensive player. You got AD. You got the Greek Freak. Definitely names that are great players that can definitely get this title. But I think Embiid is going to go above and beyond for the Sixers and as a whole, and just give the Sixers what they need on the defensive end to prove himself worthy of that Defensive Player of the Year, with averaging probably 5-6 blocks if he can a game. Definitely just being that postman that they need to just stop anybody who comes down low.
Wow, 5 to 6 blocks. Wow, that's a lot of blocks.
And 14 rebounds. Sorry, forgot that 14 rebounds at least.
Jeez, this guy, what is he, Ben Wallace? I mean, I hope you're right, Ryan. I just don't see that happening. I mean, Embiid's of course a great defensive player, and I'm sure he could average a couple blocks a game and 10 plus rebounds. I don't really think that's really that difficult for him to do because he's that great of a talent. But my Defensive Player of the Year pick is going to be Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz, solely because of that's his number one priority is defense, whereas Embiid has to take care of offense and defense. It's going to be the reason why I'm going to pick Gobert on this, is because I know what he has to do. He has to defend that post. He has to get rebounds. So that's why I think Rudy Gobert is going to be that Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, like Ryan mentioned, there's going to be people like Draymond, AD, Kawhi Leonard that's going to be in that running for Defensive Player of the Year this year. But at the end of the day, I think Rudy Gobert is going to win that award.
That's a fair pick. Gobert is definitely a solid pick there too. So I definitely don't agree with you there. I'm not because he's a Sixer. I just think he's going to put himself on the defensive end and give the team the uprise they need. That's really what it comes down to. So let's jump over to most improved player here. And Matt, who'd you take on this one?
Well, this is kind of piggybacking off of who you picked as the Pacific Division winner, the Lakers. I have Brandon Ingram winning this award because I think this is going to be the year that he kind of blows up. And if Ryan's right about the division winner, I think it's going to be Brandon Ingram as that key factor, because we already know what LeBron James can do. But I think LeBron James is going to need a sidekick, and I think Brandon Ingram is going to be that guy. I think this is the year that he kind of gets that, he has more freedom on that offense. He doesn't need to worry about any double teams because LeBron will take care of that. So he's going to have more abilities to play that one-on-one offense. And I think this is the year that Brandon Ingram kind of shows off his skills and the reason why he was picked number 2 overall in the draft class. So I think this is the year that Brandon Ingram kind of shows the world that how good he is. And I won't be surprised if he averages 20-plus points a game because he's going to have the opportunities on offense with LeBron on his team. And I hope he does because that's why I have him as most improved.
Now, that's good. I like Brandon Ingram. I've liked him from the moment that that he was picked up as number 2. I definitely think he's got a great opportunity to get that pick because of LeBron James being able to distribute the ball. He has that court vision, whereas my non-favorite player of all time, Lonzo Ball over there, still not a huge fan of him. I just think that with LeBron there, he can help improve Brandon Ingram's game. I think it's definitely gonna help him there, but that was not who I'm going with here. Again, you're gonna say it's because he's a Sixer, but I'm going with Fultz here. I'm going with Fultz for a couple reasons. One, he definitely looks like he's gotten a lot better in the offseason, his shots there, and he didn't play a lot last year, so he didn't look all that good. So his numbers are really, really low, and I think he's definitely get a lot more playing minutes and all that stuff. That I think it's gonna be kind of easily one for him because he's gonna be more productive and be a part of the team and give the team what they need as that third star on the team to bring it all together. And I think that he's going to be one of the reasons behind that. And I said nothing against Ingram. I love the way that the guy plays. I just think Fultz is going to end up being because you didn't get to see a lot out of him, and what we saw out of him wasn't that great. So he can only go up from there.
Dang, Ryan, how many homer picks you going to have this podcast? Jeez.
Maybe one or two more. We'll see how the podcast goes.
Well, I mean, once again, I really do hope Markelle is the most improved player. And from what I've seen in the preseason, his jump shot looks pretty okay. He's been banging a couple of jumpers here and there. Honestly, that's all I need to see because we know he could do everything else. He has the ability and athleticism to play great defense, get rebounds. He definitely has good playmaking skills. So if he can hit that jumper, I ain't got no worries. And hey, you know what? If Fultz wins the most improved player, I have no issues with it at all. So I hope once again with every pick that Ryan made that's on the Sixers that he's correct because it really won't hurt me at all. I will take those losses at the end of the season when I'm incorrect because I would love it if all the Sixers picks are correct. All right, Ryan. So let's jump into the sixth man of the year. I picked Jaylen Brown on this one because, once again, someone on that Celtics team have to play on the bench. They have too much talent. So someone has to be on the bench. So I think Jaylen Brown's going to be that guy who's going to be that sixth man just because Gordon Hayward's back and he's the veteran. He's an all-star. So obviously I think he's going to get that. He's going to get the edge there. So he's going to be a starter. So I think Jaylen Brown's going to be the sixth man, and I think he's too good of a player that he's going to show the fact that he's that talented and he's going to put up points and he's a great defensive player. So I think the fact that Celtics are a good team, one, and the Jaylen Brown's a great player, two, that I think he's going to easily win sixth man of the year.
I can't disagree with the pick. I like Jaylen Brown. I think it's going to be a little bit, adjusting for him in the beginning. So I don't know. I mean, he's come off the bench for a little bit. I just think, it's not going to be as clear-cut as you say. And I'm going to piggyback actually off of your MVP with AD, and my guy I'm going with is Julius Randle here, going to the Pelicans. I think he's going to be, a solid man off the bench for this team. When you see when you see AD and the rest of that starting lineup come out, I think Julius Randle is going to put up the points and do a decent job on defense to where he's going to be definitely a contention talk for sixth man of the year and possibly, in my opinion, win sixth man of the year over Jaylen Brown. Because he has something to prove with this team and help this team win, possibly try to win their division, but definitely make it to the playoffs. And he's definitely going to be a big part of what the Pelicans can do and what him and AD can do when they are on the court together.
I'm not a big fan of Julius Randle, unfortunately. I mean, I think he's an all right player. He could probably average 15 points a game, probably 8 rebounds, but that was him as a starter in the Lakers. So I don't know what he could do as a bench player. I guess we'll see. I just don't have much confidence in Julius Randle.
All right, so let's jump into Coach of the Year. So, Matt, you know what? I'm not going to go first. Let's let you go first. Who are you taking for Coach of the Year?
Comes from your MVP pick, bro. Greek Freak, his coach, Budenholzer. I think the Bucks are going to finally obviously I picked him as the division winner, and you had him as MVP. So I think this team is going to do well because of the coaching change. I think the previous coach they had kind of hindered them. They didn't shoot many threes. They're kind of behind on that new age NBA. And I think this team is going to play more pick and roll, shoot threes. Let Greek Freak have more freedom on that offense, and I think it's going to help them. And I think that's why I'm going to pick Budenholzer as Coach of the Year because he played that when he was the coach of the Atlanta Hawks. That's the way they played. They had a lot of freedom. They had guys all over the court that could do a lot of things. They could shoot, dribble, pass. And that's why I think we want to make this Bucks team because you don't want to be one-dimensional in today's NBA because that's definitely going to hinder you. And I think that's the way they previously played. You don't want to play the ISO ball. You just don't want Greek Freak to have the ball on the top of the key and let them make plays. You want to make everybody have movement, picks off the ball, more movement, more better for him because then not only can he drive it in and make plays, but you want people to shoot threes. That's what this game is today about. So I think Budenholzer is going to be able to do that.
I definitely like Budenholzer as a pick there. I definitely think he definitely is what's going to help that team out. I struggle with this one. I was going to go with Dwayne Casey again, winning back-to-back with a different team this time. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought of Brad Stevens. I thought he's a great coach, and I definitely think he deserved it last year. And I think that he's going to definitely do very well for his Boston Celtics. But yes, I went with another Sixers pick here, and I am picking Brett Brown because of all the other Sixers who are going to do so well and win Most Improved and Defensive Player, and the team's going to do so well and win the division, and it's all going to be because Brett Brown finally learns to coach the team. I think that this team's going to come together a lot more. They're going to play better. I said with them putting up another 50-win season. I think that'll prove a lot with the team, with the players they have, and as long as Brett Brown can coach this team better than he did last year and not keep falling into them slumps where they blow another fourth quarter lead here and there, and how they've been doing all of basically the beginning of last season, definitely in the playoffs when it mattered most. I think if he's got a better handle on that, I think he'll definitely get the team all more around it and realize the flaws they had last year. It's just why I'm going to pick Brett Brown to win Coach of the Year.
Jeez, Ryan, how many more Sixers picks can you possibly have? Just like
well, there's only 2 more possible options in this podcast, so
I'm just saying it's like 2001 all over again that you think is going to happen. MVP. Well, you didn't pick MVP as a.
I didn't pick MVP. I did not pick. I thought about picking Ben Simmons as MVP, and I held off. Okay, I held off because I think the Greek Freak's going to do it.
I'm just saying, 2001 where AI won MVP, Dikembe won Defensive Player, Aaron McKee won Sixth Man, Larry Brown won Coach of the Year. You might as well have had that at this point. You might as well pick everybody.
Well, I wanted to be a little bit more optimistic, but hey, just go with it. All right, I got 3 Sixers, still pretty much even to 2001, and this could be that year again.
All right, all jokes aside, let's move on to the West, the Western Conference. Ryan, who do you have winning the Western Conference this year?
Well, the same team that should have won it last year, and that's right. I'm talking about the Houston Rockets here. There's really only 2 teams in this talk here, but I feel that it will be Houston because of all the reasons I said as to why they're going to win the division again. This team's going to come together more. I am hoping, because I don't like to see it. You don't see CP3 get hurt. This team is a team that can beat Golden State and should have beat Golden State and won a title last year. And as long as everyone stays healthy in this team, I don't see that being a problem in them beating Golden State, because I think they definitely have a better team as long as Melo falls into the role that they're looking to put him in. I think that if he has CP3 and Harden pushing him, I think that he'll definitely head in that direction better and not have to fight with his head coach like he did in New York, which is the same head coach, by the way. I think that this team can definitely win the West.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And the fact you said they're a better team, I think that's an argument that you can easily disprove. The fact that when it comes to Western Conference Finals time, this Golden State team that I picked to win the Western Conference could have possibly 5 All-Stars as a starting lineup.
That's a stretch.
What do you mean? Boogie was an All-Star. Those 4 have been All-Stars. That's 5 All-Stars. That's arguably.
I don't think that Draymond Green should be an All-Star. I don't think that
he has been.
Boogie.
He has been.
I don't think he has been recently. He has been. I don't think he is an All-Star. I don't think he deserved an All-Star nomination.
They were.
I don't think they are, though, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, that's why you're you and you're wrong. So
a lot of people agree with me, though, that they didn't deserve it.
Doesn't matter. He was an All-Star. It's a fact. He is an All-Star. And so was Boogie. So the fact that they don't have 5 All-Stars on their starting lineup, one could argue is arguably the greatest starting lineup of all time. So the fact that you want to say the Rockets have a better team, how? How are you going to have that? Because we know for a fact they got worse from last year because they lost Ariza and Bob Mute. Now you add fucking... Whoa, blast the curse word. First time ever on the podcast.
We knew it was coming eventually, man. It had to happen. It happened in the 37th episode, but hey, it was bound to happen.
But now you had Carmelo, who plays 0 defense. I don't see this being a up.
He's going to be a defensive monster this year. Don't hate on my boy.
I think that's a joke. There's no way he's going to be a defensive player. 15 years in the league, he's going to be a defensive player? Yeah. There's a better chance of me and you go to the NBA. That's what better chances. But my point is, the Golden State Warriors, like I mentioned before, they're just too good. The team is too good. And yeah, last year I can't disagree with you, Ryan. If CP3 wasn't hurt, yeah, the Rockets probably should have won, but they didn't, and that was their shot, and they blew it, mostly because CP3 got hurt. But this year, nah.
And Harden choked.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I mean that's that. It is what it is. But this year, nah. Golden State ain't gonna lose. I just can't see them lose to the Rockets. It's mostly because of the fact that they don't have their role players isn't as good. Because that's what it came down to. Last year, their role players stepped up, and they were able to force that Game 7. This year, I just don't see it. I think Golden State's gonna win.
What do you think? Are you saying Golden State's not gonna lose a game at all this year? They're gonna have a perfect season?
Did I say that?
I mean, the way you're talking, it sounds like they will.
No, I think that, like I said, they're gonna win the division, and they're gonna win the Western Conference. That's all I said. Let's not jumble the words that I'm saying.
I'm gonna jumble them. All right, I'm gonna take words that I hear and just throw different random thoughts out there. No, I mean I get what you're saying there. Golden State definitely is a solid team still.
Solid.
They only got
You're going with
somewhat
solid.
better.
You're gonna go with solid team.
They're solid. I still think
Three
Boogie's
championships
gonna
in
screw
4
that team
years.
up. I think Boogie's gonna screw that team up. They're gonna screw. He's gonna screw that whole team up.
Oh, really?
It's gonna screw.
Really?
It is.
Really?
It's gonna blow up the entire team
Really?
because of Boogie. I'm telling you, he can't run with him. He cannot run with that team.
Because Carmelo won't blow up a team.
I know he'll blow up a team. I think this is his year to not blow up a team. This is his transformation year, is what I'm telling you. I've been saying it from the very beginning of this podcast. If you'd open your friggin' ears.
15 years after, he's going to finally figure out how to be a good player? Years.
Listen, it takes years to mature. He's still in his Syracuse days. You got to give him a break.
Sorry. It's funny that you made fun of the Golden State player to be immature, but you don't want to say that Carmelo Anthony, who's been the definition of immature his whole career.
Hey, he hasn't been fined for technical fouls like somebody has in Golden State. He probably won't even play that series. He'll be out for so many technical fouls to have in the playoffs.
The sad part is that could happen and they'll still win. That's how good Golden State is.
Nah, Houston's got that.
You could just have, I don't even know who they're. Zaza will play center because it doesn't matter.
It'll matter.
I was going to say JaVale, but JaVale's not on the team anymore.
Nope, he's gone. So enough of that back and forth. Let's get over to the East. So, we had some controversy with our West picks. Who's your East winner here, Matt?
My same pick that I have for the Atlantic Division, the Boston Celtics. Like I said from the beginning, they're too loaded. Their talent is unmatched in the Eastern Conference. Led by Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, Horford, Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I mean, and I know you already agree with me here. Brad Stevens is a great coach. Once again, I'm going to just reiterate. That team is just too talented. Barring any injuries, I see the Celtics running away with this conference and the division, like I mentioned before. Of course, the Raptors and Sixers and the Bucks are the teams that I would say have a chance to win, but I just think the Celtics are the clear-cut favorite.
So, I definitely like the Celtics pick, but I'm surprised you didn't go with the Bucks, being as coach of the year. He can take that team pretty far. I did not go with that team. I went with...
Wait. I wonder who you went with.
Who do you think I went with, Matt?
The Delaware Bluecoats.
You got it. No. No, but yes, I went with the affiliated team of the Delaware Bluecoats, and that is correct. I'm talking about the 76ers here. I have, again, because of Brett Brown, because of his team, because of Fultz coming along, and developing a shot and being able to play with these guys a whole year, and Embiid being a defensive monster, and Simmons, worked on his shot this summer, and he hasn't. He won't use it unless he has to. I think that it definitely is going to come down to the Sixers or the Celtics. I think at the end of the day to win this. I'm not saying. Listen, I think the Bucks are a great team. And Toronto, we'll see how they pan out. I don't think that they're going to be a joke team either. They're definitely a team that you're going to have to worry about there. I just think that at the end of the day, it's going to be the Sixers and Celtics. It's going to be another rivalry like back in the day. It's back and forth with these guys. I think the Sixers are going to come back for redemption after losing last year. I think they learned a lot as a team and how to come together. Not that the Celtics are not loaded. They definitely are. But I think that, the Sixers and the way that they'll play and come together and learn from their mistakes from last year, that they'll turn around and end up winning the East.
I mean, once again, I hope that is the case. I hope the Eastern Conference Finals is Sixers Celtics, and I hope once again that Ryan's prediction is correct, the Sixers take the Eastern Conference, but I think because the Celtics are just that talented, I just can't see that occur. But I hope that's the case. But I think this year, unlike last year where it went only 5 games, I think it's going to go much further than that. I think it's going to be much more competitive because both teams, barring any injuries, should be 6 to 7 game series that Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, I definitely agree there.
All right, Ryan, this is it. The last topic of the podcast. NBA champion. So, I have Golden State and Boston in the championship. You had the Sixers and Rockets in your championship.
That's correct.
I have Golden State dominating and, once again, fulfilling the dynasty, becoming one of the greatest teams of all time, So I have them winning this year. What is that? Is that a three-peat? Would that be 3?
That would be a three-peat, yeah. That'd be a three-peat.
There you go. So I have Golden State getting the three-peat, which I think would define them as one of the best teams. And if not arguable, I think that'd be the best team in this era, obviously. So
that's no doubt.
Led by, obviously, KD and Steph. But I'm hoping Steph finally wins MVP. Because I thought Steph should have won MVP last year, but KD stole it from him. But I'm hoping Steph finally wins MVP because of the fact that I think he's also a great player and he deserves that. But I have Golden State winning that three-peat. So, Ryan, who do you have winning this year's championship?
Who do you think I'm going to go with? The
Sixers!
Of course, man, hands down. Not a deal. Damn. No, I'm kidding. So before I get into my pick, but it definitely was Sixers. Obviously, it's the Houston Rockets. So you don't think that the Celtics and how good they are can compete with how great Golden State is? In your words, you're saying Golden State is phenomenal, fantastic, whatever. And they're a great dynasty, best we've seen. But you don't think the Celtics, guys can compete with them?
They can compete with them.
And you're saying it's going to blow them out?
No, I do not think that would blow them out. I think Golden State wins in 6.
I could have sworn I heard at the very beginning you said blow out with ease. I heard or win with ease. I'm pretty sure is what you said.
No, I didn't say win with ease. But, I mean, Golden State, I think...
Well, if you did, I will make sure I highlight that when, I go back and listen to this.
That's fine. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think from a top-to-bottom roster, Boston's better. But I think when it comes to top talent, Golden State, hands down. I just think Steph, KD, Clay, Draymond, Boogie, it's just too much for any team to handle. Boston's obviously the team that I think is the most competitive to them. And I think they're definitely trying to do their best defensively. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to be too overmatched. And that's why I have Golden State winning.
No, that's fair. See, the only reason I'm saying that is because if this was to happen, if you are correct and this is the finals, the only reason I would think that the Celtics can beat them is they are like Houston from last year. They have a better bench players. They have, evenly offense starting lineup. I think the bench is what would end up propelling them to actually end up beating Golden State at the end of the day. But I don't have that. I think it's going to be Houston and the Sixers, and I think Houston will end up beating the Sixers in 6 as well. I think that Sixers will put up a fight, but at the end of the day, they just won't be NBA champion ready. Maybe it'll be 5. Maybe they'll end up getting 1 win like they did back in 2001. But it's definitely. I think it'll be either way. However you look at it, it's still gonna be a great series. I think Houston, is just gonna end up overpowering them, and CP3 is gonna get his title, and Melo can finally actually see what a title looks like, along with the playoffs after advancing out of the first round for the first time and pretty sure ever in his career.
That's not true.
Just like CP3.
That's not true.
That's not true. Oh, I'm sorry. But basically, advancing more than once. He's only done it once out of the first round. So, wait, he didn't do it last year, did they?
What?
When did he do it? When are you saying that Melo did it?
The Nuggets went to the Western Finals.
No way.
Yes, they did. With Chauncey Billups. When Chauncey Billups went to Denver Nuggets, him and Carmelo went to the Western Finals against the Lakers.
I don't remember them going that far.
And
I was definitely a Melo fan back then, unlike now.
It's a fact.
Yeah, well, but still, this would be the second time for him to do it, whereas I think that he was a much better player, that he should have done it more than once, basically. And I think this will be a time for him to see a title, CP3 to finally see a title, and James Harden to get his first.
Yeah, I don't see that. I think they're all choke jobs, and they're all going to happen at the same time. In the Western Finals against the Warriors, they're all going to choke together, make all hold hands and sing Kumbaya while they sit at home and watch the finals on TV.
Damn. Okay. Okay. Kumbaya, Houston. Damn, you just taking on Houston all the way around from Carmelo to Harden to CP3.
I mean, I'm just saying.
All right, say what you want. We'll see. We got a whole season to go now.
Yeah, we have 82 games and playoffs. It's a long season. All right, that's all we have for this week's special episode of the NBA preview. Thank you for joining us. Once again, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube, and you could follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06. Stay tuned to our next episode, episode 38.
The Benchwarmers.